everyone, welcome to SEO UnMasked. It's episode number 32. I believe today is April 19th of 2018. Happy to have you with us as always. I'm Garrett Groff.
I'm nobody.
And I'm Tired Steve, apparently. we need new monikers.
Yeah, we'll come up with some new names. The last 3 videos of the 24 hours of SEO are up on YouTube if you want to check them out. It was Troy Fox, Ellie and Lexi, and Paul, or Tom Casano, sorry. I don't know if Steve has them up on the site yet, but I'm sure one of these days.
Yeah, they'll go up next week sometime for the subscribers with any slides or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think
anyone sent slides, did they, on those last?
I don't think so. I'll check. We'll figure it out.
But if you want the slides for everyone else, they're all up on the site. So if you just go and register on 24hoursofseo.com. It's no longer /register, but I'll probably set up a redirect for that just for people that have the old link. But yeah, 24hoursofseo.com, just register on there. Yeah. We have abandoned ClickFunnels.
Yep. Yeah, I messed around with that Thrive, is that what it's called? I messed around with that a little bit over the weekend.
Thrive Architect, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I use that on most of my sites. It was a pain in the ass when I first started using it.
Yeah, definitely. I was getting pretty frustrated.
It's getting much better.
Well, when you first started using it, it was trash. It was the old Thrive Builder back when you started.
Yeah, content builder.
Yeah, like Thrive Architect's a whole different game. I mean, when I saw the content builder, I was like, what the hell is this thing? It's like Divi if you went back 20 years or something, but the new ones... The thing I noticed on the new one is it's lightning fast. Like, you're dragging things around, and there's none of that usual JavaScript-y, laggy goodness you get on other people's builders. It seems just crisp as anything, so I think they definitely made the right decision going for a full rewrite.
Yep. It's definitely useful. I don't use it like as part of the core design anymore. I just use it to kind of mark up blog posts and pages to give it a little bit something extra.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were using Divi for before, so same kind of thing, really. You make some pretty nice link dates in Divi. We've got a couple of clients where they were like really difficult niches, and we just said, like, just grab a copy of Divi and put some colored boxes around, some columns, a few photos, and suddenly you've got like it's as if you got a link bait on a like super easy mummy topic instead of a really hard finance topic or something. So definitely worth doing if you're doing your own outreach or anything and you're struggling to get links. A copy of Divi is worth like 20 hours a month in better response rates or something. So, or Thrive these days, I guess. I quite like the new Thrive Architect.
So we got some news this week.
Yep.
Ahrefs updated their backlink index, and by the way, guys, we're putting all the links in the show notes now as opposed to the chat because the chat was just ruining the URLs. But yeah, Ahrefs updated their link database, the backlink index rather. There's a couple of cool new features. The one that jumped out at me was you can easily see the traffic from referring pages. So this is great if you guys would know if you're doing link prospecting, competition prospecting, and you want to target pages that actually have traffic. You can now easily see that when reverse engineering your competitor's backlink profile.
The problem is their search traffic data is like everyone else's. It's completely garbage.
It's based off an estimator algorithm.
Yeah, so, I don't know if you've ever looked at... I mean, what I'd say to people is you can assume it's definitely an order of magnitude wrong just based on sites that we've got data for, like their real traffic. It's always
like our skin site. Ahrefs says it gets less than 50 hits a month, and that's like it's 1,300 hits a month, all from organic search. It's like, how can you be that far off in your estimate?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's more than an order of magnitude, isn't it?
Yeah. But, is there a benchmark tool for traffic estimation, or is it all just bullshit?
Even Google's is garbage because it's not intended for that purpose. It's literally intended to be like just keyword based.
So what they do, they just look at the keywords that you're ranking for. And then if you're ranking number one, let's say it has a volume of 1,000 searches a month, they'll say
and they have data.
Number one is probably getting 400 of those clicks a month or something, and then
no, they have data from clickstream tools as well. So browser plugins, all kinds of stuff. There's one big provider, Moz uses them. I forget the name, but there's clickstream data in there as well. They try to use to improve beyond just a simple guesstimate. Because you could do that yourself. You could just look at your rankings and multiple. But I mean, I think the traffic per keyword they start with is wrong as well. So I think it just compounds as they go through their calculation. I've never seen anyone with anything like the right numbers for the final calculation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think SERPBrew's keyword level estimates are better than Ahrefs' keyword level estimates, but if you still try and work out manually what your traffic is from it, you're going to run into the same problems Ahrefs runs into, because you don't know all the keywords your users are actually using, because they're using all kinds of weird shit.
So it's basically just a general guide.
Well, to give you an idea how off it can be, like there's we did some work with a company that does some Made in America stuff, and they had one of their keywords, Made in America XYZ, and Google AdWords tool was saying like 10. SERPBrew I think was saying like 20 a month searches, and really it was like 4,000. Well, they were getting 4,000 clicks, so I mean, it can be pretty off. I mean, I would say for any kind of niche keywords and low volume keywords, it can be off by even 2 orders of magnitude. You can be looking at 10 to 1,000 instead of not even 10 to 100. So
in the chat, Sam said Ahrefs seems to be best when you're using really popular keywords.
Yeah, that makes sense, because you'd hope they could get that right for the because they've got the clickstream data. You'd hope that for the popular terms, they've got way more data.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's some other updates here. They got two backlinks to canonicalized pages are now also transferred to the original page. And I don't know how. All right, so first off, this it's kind of like a 301 where basically if you syndicate content to other platforms, or you have duplicate content and one page is tagged with canonical, it's going to give the original source the credit for the links, even if the links are pointed at the syndicated content or the duplicated content. That's cool, but I don't that's an Ahrefs thing. That's not like Google. Like Google's not recognizing that. You're not getting the link credit.
You are, if in some situations, like if you're an e-commerce store and you have like a Red Sox canonical page, and you've got it in your socks category, but you've also got it in your outdoor socks category. And when you would canonicalize the weird niche categories, the Red Sox also appear in the Red Sox page. There might be for the user that particular visit / outdoor socks / warm socks / red or something in the URL. You'd canonical that page to just your Red Sox product. You'd pick the best one generally in e-commerce, and if someone linked to you the other one, generally you would get the credit to the correct page if you've got your canonical set up properly.
Yeah, so
whether you can just go around.
That's pretty cool. But how is it any different than like tiered link building? Because you're just passing juice through filters.
Well, the priority page the canonical page is the one that you're telling Google you want to show up in the index. So if someone searches Red Sox, you're telling Google you want them to return your main Red Sox page, not your specific outdoor socks Red Sox page.
Okay.
So Google then, so it's just optimizing your e-commerce site to return the right page, and Google will generally pass the authority correctly in that situation. So I think Ahrefs is just trying to mirror the Google calculation for their page authority lookup. Obviously, it won't affect domain rating, because that's just a domain-wide metric anyway. It doesn't matter where the links point; they just all get thrown in the pile and counted. So, but it'll make their page authority more accurate for certain.
That's interesting. And what they're doing right now is the links pointed to the canonicalized pages aren't showing up. You know, if you do a backlink search on those pages, they're only going to show up on the original content now. So it's pretty good if it, so if it works.
Pretty confusing for enterprise SEOs trying to debug their canonicals though, and they're like, have we got some links to the wrong page we can change, and then they have to look at a different page and remember which their canonical was when they do their Ahref search. It sounds like fun.
I bet you can game that pretty easily too.
What do you got in that Amazon box back there, Ben?
I don't know, man. I went to.
Oh, let's open it up on the air.
No, it's empty. It's empty. I went to Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and when I came back, my friends they were in my office, and they blew up 400 balloons with an air compressor. So I opened up my office door, and there was balloons coming out of that, and these Amazon boxes were here. So I'm assuming that was their balloon box.
Okay. That's less exciting than I hoped.
Yeah.
That story sounded like it was going somewhere more.
I got home at like 2:30 in the morning, and I just like had to grab something from my desk, and I just opened it. I was like, I am not dealing with this, and I just slammed the door shut.
At least there weren't chickens in there like on Mad Men when Pete gets back to town.
The Orientals.
That kind of prank might be a little too expensive.
Yeah, that's a bit too full on.
But you're all registered to come over for the Minnesota Search Summit, right?
Yeah, just registered today. Minnesota Search Summit, June 22nd. Got a couple of cool speakers. Lexi Mills, Mueller is going to be there. Mueller, however you pronounce his name. John Cooper is going to do a keynote too.
John Cooper will be super cool. Don't miss that one. He's
yeah.
What was he? He was before he stopped blogging. He's Point Blank SEO, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Point Blank, and actually
his site used to be a gold mine. If you guys are anyone who's watching who's completely new to everything, his old posts are still a gold mine. It's outdated now. So if you've been keeping up with things the last 5 years or whatever, then. But like some of his old posts will get you up to speed on some shit really, really quickly. One of the few guys I respected back in the day until everyone stopped blogging, and now I hate them all.
Yeah, we're going to drum up some business, but this one is a very small conference. It's a one day deal. There's way under 200 attendees total. But that's good. You can
that's still more people than you can meet.
Yeah,
in a day.
You can get easier access to the presenters if you want to talk to them, and
I think there's a good chance Garrett's going to be running a repeat of our Brighton SEO event, an old-fashioned SEO executive meetup. So if you're an SEO executive at management or business owner level and you see Garrett's ad for that on Facebook or LinkedIn, jump on and get yourself registered. It's free and you get an old-fashioned. It won't be made by me. It took me like 20 minutes to dissolve the sugar in this fucking thing.
And Paul Shapiro speaking also. Avi just brought it up. Paul actually was part of our 24 hours of SEO event.
So is Lexi. Yeah, we need to get John Cooper next year.
Yep.
We need to level up and get John Cooper as well. Get the trifecta.
We'll start planting the seeds with all these presenters, and hopefully.
Well, when he's having an old-fashioned with you at the old-fashioned SEO meetup, you can mention to him that no strings attached on this free old-fashioned, but we do this charity event.
Yep. So it'll be fun. Flying in and flying out, quick 2 or 3 day trip, and it'll hold me over until our fun conferences or big conferences later this year.
Yeah, PubCon will be quite different from that. I'm looking forward to PubCon actually because we always go to something else around that time, and everyone's always like, "Oh, I was at PubCon, I can't meet you for a drink." So everyone better still be going to PubCon that keeps going every year and telling me I'm missing out. Like if all of you guys are not there this year, I'm going to be super salty with you.
Well, that's what happened with Ungagged. You remember we were trying to decide to go to PubCon or Ungagged, and everybody we talked to was like, "Yeah, I'll be at PubCon. I might stay for Ungagged." And unfortunately,
they're further apart this year, so I guess it's less likely anyone does both. They were right next to each other last
year. We're not doing Ungagged this year, right?
No, I'm not doing Ungagged latest. I might do the old-fashioned SEO meetup though down in London during Ungag London, but I will not be at Ungag London. But I will almost certainly be in London because there's a few people have suggested meeting up around there anyway. So I may well do the old-fashioned SEO meetup.
Nice.
It's going to be a new thing. Conferences that don't have one of our old-fashioned SEO executive meetups are going to be, people aren't going to want to go to the conference. So organizers are going to be contacting us to fly us in to hook up the executives and have a proper meetup, not like the lame ones the conferences put on.
Yeah, I found that most people that attend the sessions at conferences are usually newbies, or they're part of in-house SEO teams for larger companies. But for guys like us, usually the networking meetings, parties afterwards are where it's at.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with the parties afterwards is they organize them to have a party for the different group of people that we want to meet. So it's like loud, all the young junior staff are there. And what I found is a lot of the senior people are all just in a pub somewhere by themselves. So the old-fashioned SEO executive meetup is just going to be for business owners or senior in-house people who want to get away from the noise, sit down and have a proper talk shop with people that know what they're doing, make some good new connections. So I think it's going to be a cool idea. We'll see how it goes in Brighton. If it goes well next week in Brighton, we'll be doing it at pretty much every conference that we're anywhere near. So
yeah, for sure.
Because we don't mind buying you an old-fashioned if we get to sit down and have a chat with some people that have had some cool campaigns, and we can shoot the shit.
And when you're drinking with very successful people, they tend to run their mouths, and you learn about what they're doing or their secrets or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really cool working with some of the enterprise guys, because the challenges they face in-house are really interesting compared with, you just don't think about some of the things they have to plan in advance. Like Vin was talking about his idea about refreshing content, and someone I was chatting to the other day, not a client, just a friend of mine that works in enterprise SEO, he was like, you have no idea how much work we'd have to do to get Vin's plan put into place. Because every one of those changes needs to get signed off by someone. And you got this idea, yeah, we're just going to randomly change the page and add some more stuff in 3 months' time. They're like, well, why don't you just add the extra 300 words now? What do you mean you're going to change to get it?
We actually rolled that out this week with the client I was telling you about. What we're doing is we're writing an initial article, and then the writer at the same time is writing 3 more sections, and we're going to, update the content once a month with 1 section each month to keep it fresh, and hopefully that'll help boost rankings quicker.
Oh, I forgot I was going to stream to Facebook today too. I'm going to start that.
Cool. Oh, so who's on the fake it till you make it article?
Steve can talk about it.
That's all you, buddy.
Well, this one was for Garrett. This one because it's his favorite topic.
I skimmed through it, but
I'll start talking about it, and then Garrett can kind of weigh in. So basically, you guys are kind of lucky to avoid this for the most part in the US, because your financial services industry is more regulated than in most of Europe and most of the rest of the world. So, we couldn't just suddenly start pushing you guys to all trade binary options on Bitcoin. For those of you who don't know, binary options are like it's a complete sucker bet. So the bucket shop or trading house or whatever you want to call them says to you, all right, so we think the FTSE 100 today is going to finish at 7,400 points. Do you want to go above or below? And you place your bet at their massively over-rounded odds. It's like betting on horse races, you get better odds than some of these binary options. And you place your bet on, and you either wipe out, you do like £100 a point and you get 60%. If you're wrong, you lose like 6,000, no, 100, yeah, like £10 a point would be $6,000 you lose. But they've realized that they're not making any money from these sensible long-term day bets. What they need to do is 25-second binary options. So the market's trading at like 7,247, and they're like, we think it's going to be 7,428 in 25 seconds. You want to go above or below? So you can spank off your $6,000 every 25 seconds. Then it's much more addictive. So there's a whole brand of So much like the original Wolf of Wall Street, who got people to invest in dodgy penny stocks by marketing them really well, the new marketing, of course, isn't cold calling people. The new marketing is influencer marketing. So these kids, they make all of their money from affiliate income because they're getting like 30% of their clients' losses. Or CPA, sometimes they're getting $500 to sign up or whatever. It just depends on the deal. And so they're just renting expensive cars, going on holiday all the time, and saying that they're getting it from trading. And they are getting it from trading, just not theirs. They're getting it from people losing money on binary options. And the beauty with binary options is there's no margin limits because there's a fixed bet. You lose a certain amount. So if you were trying to make money from someone and you wanted them to trade options and futures, it used to be really hard to get affiliate signups because they'd have to put in like $10,000, $20,000 because they want to do £10 a point. They have to be able to cover a margin call. They have to have enough margin to open the trade in the first place, all that kind of stuff. Binary options, they'll take your bet to lose $250 at $1 a point. So they've just got to get people to dump $250 in there, and they'll get either their CPA, which might be $250, because everyone loses their money. Like 70%, 80, 90% of the traders on binary options are losers. It's you basically get someone to sign up, you're guaranteed they will dick off on average $6,000 a year. I think it's the industry average losses a year for a player. Which you compare that to horse racing, it's a gold mine for the betting companies. I mean, trading companies. So this kid they interviewed, he's basically broke because he spends all of his money buying expensive cars and traveling around. Like he crashed into someone, and the judge was like, "If you were really as rich as you pretend, you would have been able to write this guy a check, and we wouldn't be here in this court hearing. So you're going to jail for a few months."
I went to his Instagram account, and he's just like, he's a tool. He's like the definition of a tool, man. It's just like ridiculous. Like it just makes you think. Like if you actually fall for that kind of thing when it's so obvious that something's amiss there, you probably deserve what's coming to you.
I don't know. I think it's good that people can't cold call to sell non-existent penny stocks anymore. I think some regulation's a good idea. I mean, I'm not in favor.
I'm talking about this kid specifically.
I'm not in favor of regulation as much as you guys, where a regular Joe like me can't trade options and futures without having $1 million in the bank and being classified as a private investor and all this kind of nonsense. I'm glad I can just invest in IPOs and trade in futures and options if I want. Not that I particularly want to, but if I wanted to, I'm free to. So I think there's too much regulation and there's too little in the market. And I think these products being marketed without proper disclosure on Instagram especially in his case, because he's marketing to a particular disadvantaged group because they're the best people to get to sign up for gambling. Because the betting shops over here invented a new machine called I can't remember what they call it now, fixed odds betting machine. Because the horse racing and football betting wasn't making them enough money, and they weren't allowed to put high limit slot machines in. So they invented this new type of machine with fixed betting odds where you could lose £50 every 5 seconds. And they were hugely successful, but you only make money in poor areas when you open them. So all the poorer parts of the country now have like 5 betting shops just lined up on one street because they're only allowed 3 of these machines per shop. So you need to open more shops if you want to keep putting more of these machines in the poor areas. So I think this kind of targeting of poor people with dreams they can't have, and it's all very well saying from our position, you should be smart enough to figure this shit out. But, some people, they just see the dream and think, oh, maybe I could get lucky, and then they get hooked on binary options gambling.
Interesting.
So I thought this was really kind of an interesting piece. I thought Garrett would have some swear words to say and stuff, but he's not very fired up today. He's usually, I'm sure we'd have got like a 4-hour rant normally out of Garrett.
Yeah, well, I spent the night peeking last night, so.
Well, just from this link.
Hey, so we're live on Facebook too.
Yeah, I think it's going. We're maxing out my CPU, but I think we're going.
How many Facebook Live viewers have we got?
I think
2.
It's me and Vid.
You guys don't have enough followers on Facebook. Smash that like button.
Well, I had about 900 people.
Get out of here.
I recently did a big purge. I'm down to 286.
My dog wants to join us, but
hey,
that's not happening.
Man.
Cool.
But I mean, there's all sorts of
like
shit.
1,000 people.
This shit's all over the internet. It's always going to be get rich quick, and it's only going to be more seductive now with tools like Instagram, where a guy can go out and rent a Lamborghini for a couple hours and be like, yeah, this is my car, and look what you can do. And, it's...
I think he does actually own an old Bentley, though, so he did spend some of his money.
Yeah.
On an old Bentley.
Yeah. Cool. He spent $30,000. Awesome.
It's nicer than the Bentley I've got.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can pick up... If you are interested in second-hand Bentleys, there's a couple of dealers that specialize in it, and you can get a really nice deal. But not being a car person, I'm pretty boring on that front.
I don't think car people buy Bentleys.
Inbound org is gone, huh?
Yeah, they're shutting her down.
When was the last time either of you read an interesting article on there, though? I mean, they asked for feedback, and I sent it to them, and they didn't seem to take my feedback very cheerfully. But well, they were okay actually.
I don't think I've ever really read an article on it.
There's just nothing they can do about it. It used to be really good. But
I've gone on inbound.org probably 15 times in my life.
I used to go on it all the time when it first launched, and it was always, point blank SEO would be on there. There was loads of good content. The problem is there's no filter because the reason this doesn't work, and like news.y Combinator, the Hacker News works, is all those developers are smart, and they get really agitated when people share shit and downvote it. One, Inbound didn't have downvoting, which is just dumb. Like, there's more idiots than there are smart people. You've got to have downvoting, so at least you can weigh that heavily if a respected account downvotes something and get it out the front page. Because our industry, there's so many people that don't even know what they're doing. And I sent them examples of content that was just complete trash, like 10 awesome, like this was on the front page of inbound.cause. It was like 10 awesome link building tactics, and tactic 3 was directories. And, it's just
solid.
And then they were talking. Yeah, and there was Web 2s in there as well. And like no one's questioning that if you get a link from a good directory, it has some value, like a non-zero amount of worth. But it's not the top 10 link building strategies for 2017 or something. It's just retro stuff that's part of the baseline that sites do. So they just were infected by bullshit self-promotion, complete lack of knowledge, comments that bordered on just some kind of mental handicap or something. And I feel like I'm being unfair to people that have actual problems. Like these people are so, they're not even beyond saving some of the comments. And it just drowns out the smart people that want to share and want to contribute. Like I know one influencer asked his followers to never share any of his stuff on inbound.org because they weren't following the links if it got upvoted enough. And he's like, I don't want a link from that hellhole of a place. It's a pure spam site. I can't remember who it was now. I'll try and remember. It was kind of funny. It became overrun with self-promotional spam and dumb comments, which leads to this, I guess.
I'm not saying I'm the smartest SEO person in the world, obviously, but on a lot of the Facebook
You're about
groups,
number 7, probably.
Yeah, not even close. But I used to actually enjoy answering people's questions to the best of my ability, and I would like to think I'm smarter than the average idiot out there. But what really pissed me off was shit like this, where it's so unmoderated to the point that there's so much bullshit floating around from fucking idiots. It's like frustrating, and I have no interest anymore to even try to help anybody because I end up getting into really, really stupid arguments about, yeah, should we be building 1,000 directory links this month as our SEO strategy? And it's like, this argument's not worth having. Yeah. And I'm now disappointed that I even made a comment.
Maybe you should build 10 on good directories if you haven't got them already in your niche. But other than that,
yeah, it was like you're trying to be nice and you're trying to be helpful, and then they start getting angry, and then some other person chimes in, and it's like, okay, this is enough. Fuck off.
Yeah, someone starts pitching their directory money
Yeah,
master
exactly,
project
yeah.
product for $47. Oh yeah, don't build them yourself. Just give me $47 and you can have directory money master. So it's a shame. Inbound had the potential to be.
Did Inbound have a job board for marketers? Because it looks like
they did. The job board I think was the most useful and used thing on there.
Yeah.
I think HubSpot are taking it over. I'm a bit worried that they're going to take away the Twitter sign in. You're going to have a HubSpot like sign in, and I don't want anything to do with HubSpot really. I know they've owned it for a while.
Growth.org already has the job board up and functional. That's the only thing working on the site.
Mm.
And when you go to log in, you can log in with Google, or you can log in with,
HubSpot.
HubSpot. You're logging for HubSpot. Yeah.
So I probably won't use the new thing. I migrated my account over, but unless they bring back just the old sign-ins or Twitter sign-ins, then I'm not making a HubSpot account.
Yeah.
Because you know what they're going to do with it. They're a marketing automation company. They're going to bother you to fuck, aren't they?
HubSpot's content is always good for introducing like the broad strokes of a topic, and then it's up to me to go back and kind of dig into that topic and learn what's really going on.
So you're telling me you're not HubSpot certified, then? You haven't done their awesome exam?
I might, just for getting clients to word agents, because their value-added reseller program is pretty good for that. But not yet. Not yet.
I guarantee you never get sufficiently unbusy to decide to do that.
Yeah.
I will bet you $5 Canadian that you remain sufficiently busy that you don't think that's a good idea.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
See, Avi's watching our show right now when he should be finishing up my CRM. And he's talking about HubSpot, old friends, smoking weed, but not about finishing my CRM. Isn't that right, Avi?
That's not good.
We're getting crickets from Avi right now.
He's not watching any. He's not watching anymore.
Here he comes.
Just get back to work.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. It looked really good from the mock-ups you showed me a while ago.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's from what my estimation, I'm going to save about 10 to 15 hours a week.
Yeah, that's just huge. You can spend a whole day asleep. I bet you do the first week. You're like, oh my god, I'm going to bed.
I have like a whole. We'll have our backlog of things we'd like to get to if we had more time, and I'm certainly going to tackle some of those tasks as soon as I get that time back in my life. But anyway.
So what was this next thing about Dr. Pete here? He brings up the balance.com, that they're a pretty big domain, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I didn't understand why this was on the list, but I know that Dr. Pete's going to be at that conference we're going to.
Oh, that would be quite interesting. He shares some pretty cool stuff. So yeah, it was just it's become a huge domain, and he's just kind of shrugging his shoulders, saying, "I wonder how they've grown so quickly compared with pretty tough competition in their space." I did make the note for you guys to look at it before the show, so you could have some analysis.
I read this like 2 days ago, and I don't know why it's on here. It's like, who cares? They've been building this site for like 5 years, and they've spent a lot of money, and that's really all it came down to.
Well,
I don't know what the big
they have like 40 million. They have like 40 million visits a month. They were hit by the recent update, though.
Yeah, I know, I saw that, but I mean, it looks to me like they have at least a $10 million a month SEO budget. So it's like,
yeah, I doubt they spend $10 million a month. I mean, they do build a lot of links, though. Or obtain, I guess. When you start ranking them.
I mean, either way, I don't know. It's like cool, but a lot of sites big brand sites do this.
It's in a pretty it's a pretty competitive niche, though.
Personal finance.
Yeah. I mean, they've come. It's because it's not just personal finance. They haven't picked like one thing. It's not like the one I shared before. That student loan repayment one. Like they've just decided we're going to cover everything in personal finance, and now they're like the 14th biggest site or whatever, and Mozcast just behind eBay. So I was hoping Vin would comment on their content and Garrett would give us some of his sick technical analysis, but
You know,
when you build
clearly nothing has come out of
91,000
this.
when you build 91,000 links over 2 years, it doesn't really surprise me.
in the show notes, it had originally just gone to his Twitter profile.
Yeah, I got
so
it fixed.
I was like, what?
Oh,
But I'm just seeing this now, so that's pretty cool. Anything with Moz is like off my radar. I've never followed Moz at all.
I just followed Dr. Pete because he's ahead of the curve on like changes to the. Mostly, he's interesting for sharing changes to how the SERPs look rather than core algorithm updates and stuff like that. He's always on top of like, oh, there's this weird new box, because obviously the weird new box breaks all of his scrapers, so he has to change all of his code when there's a new box or some weird thing happens. So he's almost certainly the first person that notices most of them. So he's definitely worth a follow on
they
Twitter.
have a link from some university in Auckland, New Zealand, with the anchor text of a cost analysis of Windows Vista content protection.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at their link profile. It just
Oh,
seems,
okay.
I mean, my view on the content I looked at since was just that it's really general. Like, I mean, look at the homepage now. I mean, forget the ones I looked at a few days ago. Like the latest stuff is
they're
how
buying
much should I
links
have in
all.
my emergency cash fund?
Yeah, Bob is pointing out that the balance is owned by Dotdash, which is one of these publisher conglomerates. They also own The Spruce, Verywell.com, LifeWire, TripSavvy, and ThoughtCo. So they're doing well.
What the hell? So this link from Auckland goes to about.com, and then that page 301's to the balance.
How do you 301?
Oh, that's right. Oh, I read on their about.com owns this site. Yeah, like Abby's saying.
Oh, so
It's a new sister site they made. Yeah.
it's an inside job.
Yeah. All right. So now that Windows Vista link makes more sense.
So there's a bit of black hat stuff going on here.
Mm-hmm.
They
They got one from my university.
They wanted to migrate a bunch of authority over from their answers. And
John Sherburne will like this one. Mankato State linked to about.com, and they 301 that to the balance. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. They're just doing a lot of links. They built 50,000 links in the last year and a half.
A bit of big brand black hat, the old connecting all your properties and 301ing authority around. Oh, sorry guys, that was less interesting than I'd hoped.
No, whatever. I'll do.
I gotta dig into that. That's interesting. Now it seems like Dr. P just was out of the loop because the balance is a pretty friggin' big site.
Well, I think it's the amount of bigness in such a short time.
Okay.
It's not that it's big; it's the fact that it's now like almost eBay after just a few years. So it kind of, it wasn't in the top 20, and suddenly it's behind eBay at 14. It kind of popped onto his radar for that reason.
So what do we got?
So I guess.
Oh, next year.
Europe killed who is?
Yeah. They've this new regulation's really fucking everything up, and they just have no idea.
They have no idea what they're doing. These bunch of donkeys.
I mean, do any of you really use Whois data anymore? I would use it when I was trying to uncover like PBN networks. And
I mean, yeah, that's relatively if I'm just trying to find out who owns a website, but most people use privacy protection anyways these days, so it's
yeah.
But I think it still should be available though. I think to look it up.
Yeah, I mean, like there's countries in Europe like Germany where it's illegal to not put, like, I don't know, Finn, I guess it doesn't affect you. I mean, because if you have your like full company address and stuff on your website, right?
Right.
Yeah. Like, but if you didn't have that, it would be illegal for you to have German customers, for example. And at the same time as having that law, they're having a law that's making it illegal for someone to maintain a record of in public who owns websites. It just doesn't make any sense at all, does it? Like, it's just, but they haven't thought about how GDPR affects anything other than their enemies. They hate Facebook and Google. They know they won't like it, so they've got on and made the law, but they haven't thought about all the other shit that it affects.
Yeah. Well, my prediction is that they're going to start rolling back some of the more strict regulation once they realize how it's affecting.
That's not how the European Union works. My prediction is they're going to add an additional. In about 10 years, there'll be an update like there was to the original data protection. That'll be even more insane.
Yeah, but they'll be able to see how it's negatively affecting small business and the average Joe, right?
I don't think they care. It's not how the European Union works. I would be more surprised if it doesn't infect other countries and we see GDPRs appearing in Australia, the US.
It's just a weird thing to can who is, because it never gave away any kind of really, sensitive data.
No.
And even if what the information it did give was barely useful at all, you would still have to email the site owner if you wanted to get in touch with them.
Right.
The only thing
I've said that from the beginning on this whole privacy thing. Like, your name is not a private fact about you.
Right.
Like, it's just insane to, like, your name, your email address is not private. It's just information that's in public. Like, the whole idea that that's private information is a false start to this whole regulation. Before they even started writing anything down, they should have just given up.
Well, we saw how the regulators dealt with Zuckerberg last week and the ridiculous questions they were asking him because
Ted Cruz gave him a good roasting though. I really don't like Ted Cruz, but that was hilarious. Like, Ted Cruz was actually prepared and knew what things were and stuff. He's like,
yeah. No, he was like the only guy under 70.
That's true. He is a young man in the Senate. He's older than me though, right? I can still call him an old man in the Senate, right?
Well, fortunately, once our peer group gets to be the age of senators and congressmen and government officials, hopefully our understanding of technology as a whole will be much better. And
well, it'll be, judging by most of the politics coming out of universities right now, it will be illegal for you to own a business after they get to the Senate. So I'd enjoy the next 20 years while you can, Vin.
Yeah, and stockpile that thing they called money.
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll last me once I'm not allowed to own my business anymore.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Yeah, escaping this world before it gets too fucked up is definitely a good idea.
Anyways, on the next thing in news, I was on YouTube the other night, and so I don't know if they've been doing this for a while or not, but now when you're watching like a music video, you can buy tickets straight through YouTube, or they'll give you, I don't know if you can click.
Yeah,
Spotify's
had that feature for a while.
Yeah.
Well, they're true on Facebook because Facebook has had that forever. I mean, you could check a band's tour dates, you can buy their merch, you can, they've been really good with like their support of, like, I guess you call it like a hub for artists.
If they want to make their money back, they just need to re-monetize PewDiePie. Like, go back to their roots. This idea that they've got that they're going to do other stuff, they just need to give up on that.
Yeah, but how difficult is it to hook up with Live Nation and get a commission for everybody you're pushing?
Oh yeah, it's a good idea. I'm only joking around. It's just they've created this problem for themselves where they need to magic up some new monetization.
Right.
But what they needed to do is educate their advertisers better and just provide better tools for advertisers. Like this whole thing where they're randomly demonetizing videos. Like, I know there's advertisers that if they had the granularity of control and there was some easy tools to do it, might have chosen to continue to be on some channels that are currently banned.
They just need to offer the advertisers a way to have like a publisher blacklist, or
Yeah, exactly. Like, block people out, and the broad thing they're doing where they're just, that's demonetized now. It's like there's nobody in the world. Well, maybe there's a few advertisers, but like 99% of advertisers would be fine being on H3H3 Productions show. Like, it's just a mainstream comedy show. He doesn't say anything controversial ever. and he's like pretty. Well, I'm pretty sure he's a liberal and he's pretty PC. Which, you know, so it's not like there's any hate speech but some of the topics he covers are just insta demonetized by the new algorithm, and I'm sure like 99% of advertisers would happily run on that, just like they would happily run on any other mainstream comedy type show like Saturday Night Live or some random shit like that. I mean, that's probably more controversial than anything Ethan's ever going to say, but no advertisers dropped the show, do they? It's like just a mainstream show. They need to have a better way of maybe the people that get more than 1 million views a video or whatever, they need to be properly looked at, not just algorithmically demonetized, treated more like real shows on TV, because they've got the views of a real show on TV and they make the money for YouTube that a real show on TV makes. I think they need smarter ways about doing it. But obviously these kind of stopgap measures are good ways to make some extra money in the meantime. But I think the health of the platform needs good shows to succeed. And sometimes good shows talk about controversial topics. It doesn't mean they're assholes.
Right.
I mean, there was a professional counselor talked about suicide issues and she was trying to get teens to look for help if they were having those feelings, and she got demonetized.
Why would an advertiser want to spot there? Even if it's a good angle on it, it's still negative.
There's advertisers like advertisers well, those kind of shows get advertisers on TV.
Shows about suicide?
Yeah, like a documentary about suicide will have ads run on it on TV.
Yeah.
You turn your TV on, find a show on TV.
I don't watch TV.
Well, watch it for a week and try and find... I
didn't even know there's shows about suicide.
Of course there's documentaries about suicide. There's documentaries about war, documentaries about famine, suicide, everything.
Hey, Avi just shared a link with us on YouTube demonetization leaked screenshots. I just put it in the chat there. I'm just looking at it too for the first time here.
Ping it over in our chat as well, because I can't view the chat stream at the same time.
You just took a screenshot there.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
But I guess these are all the things that YouTube will pull advertising from if you have it in your content. In the section,
I mean, excessive profanity. If TV demonetized that, every single comedy show in the UK, like all the panel shows, comedians, live stand-up, everything would be demonetized. But advertisers happily run millions of pounds worth of advertising against those shows. Like Google's shooting themselves in the foot. Maybe the suicide one wasn't the best example because it would have more of a niche selection of advertisers and TV benefits from people being forced to buy run-of-network to get. Like if you want the Super Bowl, you don't just pay the 10 million for the tiny slot on the Super Bowl. You have to buy another 60 million's worth of advertising or whatever it is. I forget the exact numbers, but you have to buy run-of-network for about 5 times what you paid on the Super Bowl ad, and they can put that against whatever show they want.
Oh, so these demonetization this content was actually leaked. This wasn't supposed to be public information.
Well, that's in the title.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't read the title. Thanks, buddy. I think it's hilarious in the sex nudity stuff that there's actually screenshots of what might be excessive partial nudity. And there's a guy in speedos.
There's women's cooking channels where the women they're basically just the lowest cut top possible. Then when they bend over to chop, it's a loose top.
The controversial one is pretty. So I wish I got to see this before the show. There's a lot of information here.
Mm-hmm. Slang you might find offensive. Who might find offensive? I mean, it's so... I think that's what the creators on YouTube are finding so difficult about it. Like, if you were making a show for, like, ITV, I don't know, like, what's the equivalent? Just a general network that shows loads of random different stuff in the US. What's, like, your main random content network in the US, like, of the network TV channels?
Fox, NBC, ABC.
Yeah, there you go. So you're making a show for one of those guys. they'll tell you at the beginning of your show what the rules are, and then you just follow them, and your show can run, and you get your ads, and you get paid, and you get come back next year. Like, these are so arbitrary. Like, slang you might find offensive.
Well, it kind of seems like that it leaves it up to whoever can drop the ban hammer to their own discretion. Like, it's so vague that they can pretty much ban whatever the hell they want at their discretion.
Yeah, and it's worse than that. They algorithmically ban things without any discretion.
I shared a second link, guys, where there was, I guess it's an email from someone that's kind of just describing this document. So you might want to share that too.
Yeah, and H3HD Productions have a good video about it. I haven't got the link handy, but if you just check out their channel, he speaks about it at length a few times.
Interesting. Well, thanks, Javi. That was
that's super interesting.
That to me before the show, you asshole. But I appreciate you sharing it now.
Well, I mean, and when he finally finishes your project, he can jump on the show and pitch his development services, because we'll all be super excited to big him up when he's completed your project.
I'm gonna have to hire another coder to find all the backdoors that he's implementing into my system.
But to steal the 400-word article.
Yeah. To publish the content before all my clients.
You'll never figure it out. But every month you'll have seemed to have paid your writers for more work than you thought you'd ordered, and then he'll have a massive authority site with all that content on it.
Oh my god! All right, we got 2 more here.
Yep, they're gonna.
Looks like Google's bringing back the manual action penalties. I don't think it ever really went away, but
no.
It looks like they're targeting a specific link type, which is expired job postings.
I don't know if it's necessarily links. It's just they're trying to clean up their search results, and it's not beneficial to a user to find a bunch of job listings on page 1 that expired a year ago or some shit.
Yeah, it's the same as what they did with with the shops. They said a while ago, if you had a product that was out of stock, you should take steps to delist that. Not necessarily delete it from your site. Like, you might still want to have on your site an explanation of when it was coming back in stock, but they didn't want you to be pushing that page to rank, so you shouldn't remove it from the index, and so on and so forth. And then
I'm sure job listings, depending on what platform you're using, that would be a black hat link building method too, right? Similar to how people were using those donation sites to build links.
What I don't understand is if you were doing it for black hat reasons, why would you expire the listing? Like, you never intended to hire anyone anyway, so why would this affect black hat?
Well, it's kind of like monkey fucking a football. It doesn't make any sense.
There are listings with
the best ever use of the keyword of the day. It made perfect sense. It fitted in. Garrett wins all like 50 episodes or whatever we've done.
I think they're targeting a lot of the job listings that have no deadline, that they're just open ended. And again, go ahead.
How will they know?
That's kind of what they talk about in the article. I'm sure there are legit job postings that do not have an expiration date, and maybe it's some weird job where the turnover, they'll hire 100 people and then 40 quit, 20 get fired.
Well, we have a client that's hiring 24/7 all year round.
Yeah,
like their job listing never expires.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know how exactly they're gonna.
I mean,
maybe there's examples out there where people are blatantly just being stupid about it or something. I don't know.
There's no information here. Like, I mean, if they want to deal with this,
it's a really nice typical search engine land quality.
Oh,
search engine journal.
No. Search engine land is way above this. I mean, it's still, in my opinion, trash compared with most other industries' news sources. But search engine journal, they really do their best to never provide you with useful information.
Well,
other than the headline was good.
Avi gave us the most useful information, and he did their job for them. They want you to remove the job posting markup, the job posting schema markup, and add the valid through property to your page. And if you do that, you're in no trouble of being tagged by a manual penalty.
So there you go. So more schema stuff. If you've got a client like ours that's hiring constantly, we need to go and do that, I guess. Put schema on the page. And everyone else needs to as well. So why doesn't the article? Because I was about to ask that. Isn't there some schema we're supposed to use or something if they're going to bring in this kind of penalty?
Because because the author is currently taking digital marketing headquarters lessons on how to be a digital marketer. So he's still learning what all this means.
Oh, but he writes SEO friendly copy that converts. Oh man, who are these donkeys? I mean, come on, seriously. I mean, I am awesome at SEO, international SEO, mobile SEO, technical SEO, local search, content marketing, and blogging. But the one obvious question that came from this post was, what do we do with our schema and our markup? You didn't bother to mention. So you're shit at SEO, international SEO, mobile SEO, technical SEO, local search, content marketing, and especially shit at blogging. And yet you write for one of our industry papers.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt. You are today's monkey fucking a football. I better get tweets about that now. No one ever fucking tweets me when I say interesting things. I just go on a tirade of abuse. I better actually get tweets now telling me I'm an idiot. Matt's amazing. I'm gonna get.
All right, got one more here.
I guess some hackers got into a casino database by using a thermometer in the fish tank. That's the beauty of the Internet of Things, I guess. Everything's connected, and sometimes things aren't protected very well.
This is another
so, I mean,
low
get as many
info
Internet of Things devices into your house as you can. I mean, Amazon buttons, smart fridge, just get them in. It's a really good
Well, what's funny is that that's a whole plot for this season on Silicon Valley, if you guys watch it on HBO. Well, it actually picked up towards the end of last season, where they saved their data compression company by using an entire brand of smart refrigerator as their server farm to host the cloud service. So
I mean, this was just kind of insane. I mean, like, and under, I hate to go back to GDPR, but under GDPR, this casino operator is supposed to figure out somehow that their fish tank thermometer is smart and put a risk report in before they install it and stuff like that.
And I'm sure they didn't even know that the thermometer was Wi-Fi enabled either. I'm sure it was like a completely different department at the casino. Installed these fish tanks and connected it to the Wi-Fi. And now the head of tech at the casino.
The CTO is in for a bollocking, and there's no way he knew that fish tank was even installed. Someone's just put a beautiful fish tank in, and it just happens to have some technology in it. It's like, it's kind of scary, the implications of some of this, because the size of the fines is enormous if someone at your company fucks this kind of thing up. But your ability to control it or know it's happening is pretty minimal.
John wants to know if you can upgrade Windows 10 Home to Pro and not lose anything.
Yes, I already answered that question for you today.
That's a very, very relevant question, John.
Well, I mean, maybe the fish tank was running Windows 10 and it should have been running Pro for extra security. I mean, I would suggest upgrading it to Linux Mint.
Yeah.
Or no cost.
Hey, I really do want to, being that I just got a house, I'm so into the home automation stuff. But, as far as like the brain, I've got Amazon, I've got Google, and I've got the Sonos speaker. So
what I would recommend, especially because is like, when you want to change the thermostat, you walk up to the old dial and just turn it. That would be my recommendation versus.
Well, I know how much you hate the the speakers in the home and the smart TVs and the microphones. But eventually, this is going to become just commonplace, and at that point, you're still going to be resistant to it.
What the inevitability of universal spying by massive ad corporations who will accidentally leak your data because of their shitty security practices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally in favor of it. Once everyone else is doing it, I'm going to be completely on board. Then I'm just holding out now because, you know, come on. It's the same reason, you know, I use Linux. Everyone else doing it's a really shitty reason to want to do something.
Wait, you're Linux across the board on all your computers?
Yeah. I mean, I wish the Ubuntu phone had survived because I would definitely use that. But unfortunately, they were incompetent at marketing a phone. So
yeah,
despite a whole shitload of people being prepared to pay way more than the market value of what it was they were selling, they were still unable to deliver a working device and gave up on it, which is a real shame because they put their actual Linux desktop users through hell with that awful Unity thing, with the whole purpose of doing tablets and phones, and then abandoned them, and they've gone back to GNOME now. So they put their desktop users through hell in the aim of delivering a product they never even bothered to deliver. So they could have just stayed with GNOME and KDE and everything and everyone. So it's kind of a bizarre situation. But yeah, I mean,
I'll be saying get a Mac. I just can't be a Mac fanboy. I can't say it, but I would I would love to switch over to Linux. It's just I got to make sure that I am comfortable and all my software's in place, and for the business. But what do you think? Should I run a VM box for Linux, or should I just do a partition on my hard drive?
You can do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what will happen when you dual boot with Linux for a while. Because I did that on this desktop and one of my laptops, you basically never boot into the Windows partition again. So it's like a big waste of space on you.
Well, you can
nothing that I use works in Linux, so it's like.
Well, yeah, you have all your weird video software, and if you're like Garrett and you've got all this hardcore commercial software, it's generally only available on Windows or Mac.
Yeah, but you could do the opposite.
So if you I'm not
run a virtual machine for Windows and just run it off your Linux.
He wouldn't be able to stream this in HD on YouTube and Facebook at the same time running a VM. It would be a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do a lot of it, but it's not easy on Linux doing some of the stuff Garrett has to do for the show and stuff like that. But
are you using the GUI for everything, or do you use the shell for a lot of stuff?
You can do everything in the GUI, but what you find is that the shell is so convenient. Like you just start using it more and more. Like record your screen and audio for a while, and there's a GUI for it, and you clicking around all this shit. Like you end up just you type for 5 seconds. And it's
yeah.
Like before the GUI would even have loaded, you've already started recording. It's just you use the shell more and more. And the thing as well is I do a lot of coding, so all the servers are Ubuntu servers, and you're SSHing into things all the time.
And you're okay with you're okay with Ubuntu as a distro, or you're not like?
Oh, I'm on Linux Mint KDE at the minute because I like the way KDE looks, and Mint does a more polished version than Ubuntu, in my opinion. They make more practical choices with what they bundle than idealistic choices. But it's Ubuntu based, so
sure.
I may as well be on Ubuntu. You wouldn't notice much.
Yeah. Usually, every time I have a computer that's about to die, I install Linux and just dick around with it to see if I'm gonna install it on my next computer, and then I never do. I just wuss out.
I've been talking to Garrett because he's the hardware guru, and he's been recommending which SSD to get. When I get my new SSD, I'm probably going to ditch KDE and just go with Linux Mint and their native desktop environment, which is Cinnamon.
Yeah.
Just because they make some sacrifices to kind of hack KDE it's just easier just to use all of their tools in the native environment, which is Cinnamon.
I've got so much power in this computer that I built that I'm never going to use. So I'm definitely going to get Linux on here. I think I have 750 gigabyte SSD just for Windows, and there's nothing else on it. And then all my storage is cloud-based, so I'm not storing anything on the actual hard drive. So
overkill, man.
Yeah.
I've knackered up my 1 terabyte hard disk with Postgres and poker. I don't even play that much poker, but I had a spell when I was playing like every day, and since then, like it's a long time now, but the hard disk is just totally fucking trashed. So yeah, don't run large poker databases on your on your 1 terabyte hard disk. run them on a really shitty secondary hard disk that you can just swap out.
There was always that rumor in the poker community that the Postgres database eats up hard drives, and it's just not true. Even Hold'em Manager wasn't coded that badly.
I think cheap like non-server hard drives getting pounded like fuck every hand you play, and there's millions of lines. It's updating all the time. I think they're just not designed for that kind of load. Like, if I had a less shit hard, but then I got a Black Friday deal for this computer. It was like insanely cheap, so I'm not too upset that 2.5 years later I have to replace the insanely cheap hard disk that was in it when I got it. But it definitely doesn't like aggressive use. Plus, I have no data. Like Vin, I have everything in the cloud. Like I use 80 gig. Why the fuck do I need a terabyte hard disk?
Am I the only one that has like 10 copies of everything everywhere?
Well, You have like some kind of what's it called where you're like obsessive about that stuff. You have whatever that is.
Backup servers.
I've got a 1 terabyte.
He has 47 copies of sites for clients that left us 12 years ago.
Well, yeah, that's what I do. Anything that's like sensitive and important, I'll just zip it, encrypt it, and then like put it in like every single cloud file that I have, just in case, or like
just in case Amazon goes out of business.
Yeah, exactly. It's just my OCD coming out. But
all my work stuff goes to OneDrive, and then I have a backup drive in the computer that saves too.
I can't believe you fucking use OneDrive. Who are you?
I used to get it for free, so.
Google Drive and Dropbox is what I'm using.
Oh, wait a minute. Google Drive? What are you, some kind of muppet? You work in the SEO industry and you use it?
I use Dropbox. I separate like
Dropbox.
my business stuff. I use Dropbox for my personal business stuff to keep it separate.
But my favorite part of switching from the iPhone to the Samsung Galaxy is the user experience for Dropbox. It is just so nice on the Android.
Everything's nicer on Android than iPhone, to be honest. I never liked Android when it first came out. It kind of angered me, and I was with Windows Phone for ages, as you guys know. And obviously, Windows Phone's like an orphan platform now. It's about as useful as Firefox OS or something. So I switched back, and the amount of improvements they've made to Android are unreal.
Yeah,
you can actually work on it now. You can actually work on it now. Like I can work on my phone.
I'm actually having trouble with messaging between Android and the iPhone, or my friends who have an iPhone. I have problems with the group texting and
because of the iMessage shit.
Yeah, and I was in a group text when I had my iPhone, and now apparently I'm not getting any of those messages.
It's probably about time you cut those losers loose anyway, if they're iPhone.
Yeah. But I think that was it for news this week. What else we got?
Over at Quora, I got some stuff we can look at.
All right.
Oh yeah, let's check out Quora.
I just noticed, I did a search SEO. I searched SEO. A lot of these posts all of a sudden are self-promotion posts.
These
aren't real questions.
There's loads of that shit.
I have moderators
because I've been answering questions on Quora. This is one I answered. I thought this is quite an interesting question. Hopefully my answer was good. But yeah, no. Basically, Quora is suffering a little. When Quora started, it used to be like geeks question and answer site, so it was where everyone fled because Yahoo Answers was useful when it first came out, and then it just became like marketers ruin everything, blah blah blah. So people were answering all questions with a link to their site. Oh yeah, if you're looking for a better email host, check out secrethost.org or whatever, like that kind of shit. And Quora was the place everyone went to escape from that, and it was serious questions. Now it's a mix of the two. There's legit people asking proper questions, and then there's marketers trying to ruin everything.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of marketers that I actually know in here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, as you can see, I've been on Quora for a while, but I've only just started using it recently. There are some good questions, and you can get some good views if you answer questions. You have to write a lot more than the shit people answering stuff like, yeah. Use Google, but also buy my links. Here's my link. Kind of bullshit. This doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, one of our clients, we actually they offer Quora as a service. So I don't know if they're seeding the questions themselves, but they're outsourcing the answers to word agents.
There's enough questions in your niche, whatever your niche is, that you don't need to seed them yourself. Quora's huge. Like if you wanted to answer, like SEO even is just there's constant questions. But yeah, I thought this was quite an interesting question, which is why I chose to answer it today. Can we depend on Google completely for all queries? And I'll just give you the summary of my answer. I don't know if you guys can put the link up somehow.
We talked about this last week, didn't we?
Yeah, it's like, it was a more detailed answer. And the three things I kind of came down to was there's genuine mistakes. So sometimes you'll search for something and the answer box will give you the wrong answer. And we see them on Twitter all the time and they're hilarious. But obviously those mainstream ones will get fixed really quickly. But if Google pulls up an incorrect answer about quantum mechanics or something really bizarre and niche and stuff, it might take a while before an expert sees it and flags it to Google. Bubbling, which we did speak about last week in a lot of detail. DuckDuckGo did the whole bubbling thing, so I won't go on about that much at all. Just that basically if you're bubbled on social media and on a search engine, which you are if you use Google and Facebook, you only see things that you like because that's what gets best engagement for them. In Google's terms, you'll click on more of their results if they only show you things you like. In Facebook's terms, if you're a diehard Republican, you're not clicking like on Hillary Clinton's amazing posts, are you? So they don't show them to you, so you only ever see what you agree with. And then the final one was just, it's about first-hand sources. So Google's really terrible at understanding an original paper by some scientists. It's really good at taking a paragraph from WebMD and stuffing it in an answer box. For most people, they would be better off reading the original source, but they don't even get the secondary source. They get a paragraph from the secondary source that Google's picked out and pasted in, which may not even be the right answer. And I showed an example about when Jesus actually lived, where there's all just conflicting random different dates given. It's all just useless. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? So that was my kind of answer. I went into more detail on Quora, but I thought that was kind of an interesting one. Like, clearly you can't trust Google for every query. You can trust it to do what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to show you information that you like that's related to the search query you typed in. If that's what you want, then you can trust it 100% to give you that. If you want something else, then you can't trust it.
I just filtered a search for SEO for questions asked in the last week to keep it kind of up to date here. Well, one that's obviously good for me is, what is the best article length for SEO? What do you guys say?
What's the best article link?
Yeah, length, like word count.
Length. Oh, I mean, I guess there was that study done that we spoke about on the show a while ago where most number one listings were 2,200 words plus. Most number two listings were 2,000 words plus, and it just dropped by 200 words for the first 4 or 5. So I guess if you're in a competitive space, you want to be way over 2,200 words, but then there's some queries where the answer is a couple of sentences.
Yeah.
So your Q&A link to that specific answer that's just a few sentences might be sufficient. So it does vary a lot, would be my
That's
answer.
my answer too. My answer is that it's query based, and you need to check out what's currently ranking for the keyword. If it's a competitive term, if it's something that nobody's going after, a super long tail, you can probably get away with 1,000 words. But check out who's ranking for the query currently. Check out related search terms.
Super long tail, you can get away with 200 words.
But I don't think the answer is you need 2,500 words of content as a rule of thumb.
No, I think the studies looked at we spoke about this at the time. I mean, the studies looked at competitive head terms, and most of them are well over 2,000 now. So for competitive stuff, you need a lot of depth.
How much of that do you think it is marketers just trying to game the system? Like over the past 5 years, people have just been posting these 10,000 word articles, thinking that it's a benefit, and now it's just skewing the averages across the board.
Well, you should be encouraging people to fall for that trick because you sell words.
You don't gotta tell me.
I've got your back, man, and you're just discrediting. You're like, nah, just order 200 words from me would be good. You heard it from Ben first. 200 word articles is all you need. Order them from Ben.
If you've been listening to me since the charity event, you know that I'm so in on this query-focused analysis. So I'm not going to push something that you don't.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's the first thing you say to someone. They're like, I want this page to rank, and it's, well, is this page anything like what Google thinks that query should look like?
Right.
And a lot of the time it isn't. So they need a different page. It's not that they need more words on the page. They just need a completely different page. Like 500 words, that's what Google wants, is better than 2,000 words of there's nothing else like this on page 1.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like, put it this way: if you're going for a super, a KD 74 keyword, right? And you search for that on Google, and every single page that's ranking for the super competitive keyword has 300 to 400 words on it, and you try coming in with 2,500 words. Is that automatically better, or are you going to stick out like a sore thumb and potentially not rank at all? I think it's the latter. I think that you need to. Google is good enough at this point that it's it's showing you what they're expecting for a given query. And if you're, sticking to, a templated idea for content length, you're doing yourself a disservice.
I agree with that for sure. Have we got any more Quora, or is it time for Garrett to do his prank call?
I don't have anyone to prank. I don't have anyone to prank this week.
We're just gonna get you on, and you can dial them up. Let's do.
We can do it next week.
Who showed me this week? SEO in Vancouver is up for sale on Flippa for
$200,000.
Oh yeah, share the link. 200,000. That bad boy that we gave such a glowing review to last week is $200,000. If you want to snap it up, you can rank number 1 for SEO in Vancouver, or number 4, or whatever it was for SEO in Vancouver.
Apparently it makes $1,942 per month in profit. Man, I wish my agency made $2,000 profit a month.
That would be nice.
I could only wish.
And he says in the description, you have to do work for that. Like, that's actual SEO client.
Yeah.
Like, you have to actually do work for that. You're buying $200,000 a $2 an hour job. It's a fucking sweet deal if ever I've seen one. I didn't realize that was going to be the gift that kept on giving, that site, but it just keeps I think we should ring. We were going to ring someone in Los Angeles, weren't we? So
I'm not talking to anybody today.
I'm checking.
Well, we'll talk to them. Vin and I will just be like, "You're on the show." We'll be straight up with them. So
Avi's telling us to do some queries for.
Here we go. These guys are number 1 on DuckDuckGo for SEO in Los Angeles. So we're going to phone them up and ask what their elite DuckDuckGo strategies are. So if you could just dial them up, please, Garrett. Vin and I will have a chat.
Yeah, let me get her pulled up here.
Ask him about the Google Werewolf update.
Yeah, we'll the werewolf update as well.
I was clicking the wrong link.
Well, I mean, we haven't had a DuckDuckGo optimization specialist on the show yet, so we're going to find out what these guys are doing to rank #1 for SEO in Los Angeles.
SEO Direct.
I mean, I like the way they have a graph in their logo. That shows you that they're serious about graphs.
Add people to this call. Okay,
Oh
you go.
man, Scape
ready?
Law Firm increases organic Google positions by plus 758 in 6 months. What the fuck does that even mean?
Okay,
We're
here
gonna
you
have
go.
some serious questions to their. We're gonna have some serious questions to their executives. Answer your phones, people. Pro tip.
We apologize for the wait. Please remain on the line, and a staff member will be with you shortly.
We're definitely gonna get through to something.
Super legit phone number we got here.
We apologize for the wait. Please remain on the line, and a
Yeah,
staff
like,
member will be with you.
Just don't have a phone number if this is how shit your phone answering service is going to.
Yeah.
Well, that went well. Let's just pick it up
Virtual
at 2.
office address.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's
mean
a
these guys are.
co-working space,
Let's just slag off these guys then. Paste them in the chat. Get them on the comments. So SEOdirect.org. They got a virtual office address, virtual office phone number you can't get through to. Their case studies make no sense. I mean, estate law firming. I mean, SMS marketing company boosts traffic by 300%. Let's have a look at the graph and see if it shows some numbers. Oh yeah, it goes from 10 to like 30 or something. Like what the hell?
I like this business law graph here. Local positions increased by 55, yet they are still ranking 51 plus for that term. How is that anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, if you can't even put good case studies up, it's a bit of a joke. So
the next
SEO
one, we
Direct
increased by 395 positions, but we're still ranking in between 11 and 20.
Cryotherapy clinic lets 75% of their keywords to page 1 because that's so competitive. Like everyone's freezing themselves, right?
Yeah,
it's one of the main industries in America, I think.
Oh boy.
I mean, how many cryotherapy companies are there? Like 20 in the whole world? We got into the top 10 out of 20 people in the whole world. I mean, come on, people. This is just...
John
These
wants
are
to talk about the tenured Fresno State professor. I think we will not speak about that.
That sounds like a topic we shouldn't get into.
Yeah. Anyways, speaking of topics, main topic, viewer wrote Steve a message. I'm interested on your guys' view about Google Stacks. He goes to mention rankingfactory.net. This is an automated software that builds the stacks. I guess.
Let's first premise the idea of DA stacks first.
Go for it.
A domain authority stack is basically using what they call a social fortress. And the idea is you syndicate all of your content out to these social platforms that have high domain authority, and then they link to each other in a randomized fashion, and then they link back to your site. And it's all your content that you're syndicating. And then you build links to these social platforms, and apparently it sends positive signals, and you get a ranking boost. That's something that I've done on my sites before, and it's actually has helped. But Google Stacks is basically doing that same type of thing, only using Google products. So Google Sheets, Google PDFs, Google Documents, and you're basically just putting links on these different types of Google products back to your site, and I guess using Google's authority, Google's domain authority, to give you a ranking boost. So go ahead, Garrett.
So I found one of these agencies that does these things for $150, and they have an example portfolio of what they did for a client. So they have a Google spreadsheet with basically the company information. The next tab is a cell that says website, and then like B1 would be the URL to the website. And then they made a bunch of other, they made a Google site, they put some pictures in a Google Drive, and these pictures, it's a painting company, they named the pictures needpainterhouse.jpg.
Guys, if you remember Wicked Fire back in the day, and all those link wheel services with secret sauce, and which is just GSA spam or X-Rumor spam, it's the same deal. But all they're doing is they're creating a link wheel using Google Slides, Google Plus, Google Sheets, Calendar, Maps, Cloud, Google Site, and eventually, one of those pages is linking to your money site. So it's just a tiered link building scam using, falsely insinuating that using Google products is the key to to the riches here. But
there used to be one you could do on AWS that was similar. Like you could put a PDF on AWS and it would pass authority.
Yeah, when I syndicate content, I actually syndicate to a Google Drive. It's just a Google folder, and every single article, every single Google document in the folder is one of my articles from my sites. And for a while there, the links in those Google documents were do follow. I'm not sure if they are anymore.
I'm guessing some of these properties are still do follow, which is why this scam, because that was the whole PDF on AWS thing and all that. But that was a good parasite listing too. They would rank in their own right as well. I mean, I'm skeptical of any of these short-term measures because I remember Brian Dean did a video that I much maligned him for accepting money to do for Neil Patel's Quick Sprout University. And Brian, I lost all respect for you when you did those videos. Sorry, because I loved you before. But yeah, it was just atrocious. It was how you could you'd make profiles on do follow properties like YouTube that's you still got a do follow link from back then, and he listed a bunch of them, and then it was all about how you could sculpt the authority through to it's just obvious short-termism, because what happened to all of those profiles that you spammed and that you got those do follow links from? I know everyone hates us in SEO saying do follow, but it's become a thing now, guys. You just have to suck it up. Everyone says do follow now. So you'd get those followed links from those profile pages, and you'd funnel authority through using comments, which were also followed. So you could actually boost your profile to have page rank, and that would pass to your site because you linked to your site and your profile. And he did a whole video about that, and it's just short-termist bullshit, because what's happened to them all now? They're all no followed now. You're achieving a short-term boost that's costing you money, but it's always going to be short term because
and
it's
not only
obvious.
money, it's time too, man.
Right.
These fucking link wheels take hours upon hours to set up. If you're doing it right, if you're actually putting legitimate content, you're filling up the profiles and making the parasites look legitimate. all it is a push of a button by Google, and all that time that you spent is just erased from your history.
Yeah, I mean, it's $200 that, I guess if you're in an industry where you can make a lot of money in the 6 months or a year that it takes before. So I guess like with everything, it depends. Are you building a real business, or are you just trying to spam Google to make some money in the short term? If you're just trying to spam Google to make some money in the short term, then that $200 might be well worth spending, because if you get a few do follow links now that'll get you some money, then go for it. If you're a proper business or you're an SEO agency that works with clients, your clients are all going to see a drop on the same day. It's going to fuck your business up if you buy one of these products, because it's going to stop working when the loophole gets closed, because it's such an obvious loophole, like the one that Brian Dean covered on Quicksprout Review was, that obviously all of those profile accounts at the big providers are going to end up being no-followed. When people started abusing them, it's profile spam.
And I would like to mention something. If you're looking at using a service like this, such as rankingfactory.net, they don't have any ways to contact them. They don't have anything. If you look at the refunds page, there's nothing on it. Their legal disclaimer blank, earnings disclaimer blank, terms of use blank. No way to contact these people at all.
Yeah, and they also don't have any actual case studies that show that their service works.
Yeah, real people. Like, where are the pictures of the people?
So you know what, man?
Who owns this fucking thing?
We're spending way too much time on this question. The answer is this is bullshit. Don't do it. And I'm not going to get into a
well, I think it's been a good question, because it's opened us up into some new areas. Questions and stuff.
I don't want to get into a black hat versus white hat debate.
Well, no, I mean, I have a lot of respect for black hats, as you guys know, because they're super smart, and they're doing stuff that's way cleverer than this.
And I'm sure,
we spoke about it on last week's show when we did the main topic, when we were talking about the all the different, like, the search query spam and the different ways of like getting hack links on pages, taking other sites' authority with the robots.txt. There was it the sitemap. You could kind of fake you were part of someone else's sitemap and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you just know there was a black hat knew that before this security researcher got his $1,337 for revealing it.
And you know what? I'm sure there's black hats watching this or have watched this that are just laughing hysterically at us because they're sitting in a gold mine.
They're not, because we agree with them. Like,
yeah, that's my point. It's just
the stuff they know is not this.
It's just a different it's a different track that you follow. And, just like a doctor might have a different specialty. SEOs, it's no longer.
The stuff they know is totally different than this kind of stuff. Like, and that's because I answered a question on Quora a little while ago. It was talking about, should I do black hat? And the answer these days is, if you have to ask that question, then the answer is no. Like, it's the same with, should I build a PBN? If you have to ask me, then no, because the knowledge you need to do that successfully now is extremely high.
Right.
I mean, it's extremely high. You have to be an expert practitioner to build a well-cloaked, well-hidden. I mean, the PBNs that people have shown me that know what they're doing in the finance space, they look like a media network. You could visit any one of those sites and you get hooked in on the link-baity articles, the awesome content. It's like, fuck, you've just built like 80 good web properties to get a link to your money site. That's the kind of skill edge difference between a really good private network and a shit one that you can just get a placement on for $20. The one where they're selling loads of placements. Like, what do you think happens with that? How hard do you think it would be to figure that out if you were Google? Like, super easy, right? So how long is it going to work for? The difference in skill now is enormous between the stuff you can buy cheaply and the stuff that works in the black hat space. So I think most black hats would probably agree with me that if they're succeeding, it's because of a big skill edge. And most of the people that think they're doing black hat are doing just kind of grey hat stuff that's not even clever. And it's not working. And you'd expect it not to work. So I think that's the real kind of where this kind of question takes us. There's going to be loopholes like this pop up, but do you bother doing them, or do you just keep on trucking with good work? I mean, I know it keeps on trucking with good work, and we do, and you could make a little bit extra money one of your years messing around with this stuff, but if you're playing a kind of 5-year game where you want to sell your site for the kind of money that Vin sold a site for already, and some of our clients have sold sites for 60 million plus, they weren't messing around with, I could get a 4% boost in year 2 with this nonsense. They're thinking about, when I sell it in 7 years, how much am I going to get? I recommend that. I mean, Garrett and I are in the early days on most of our sites, so we're not going to be selling for 6 years. Like, who really cares if we make an extra 500, 600 a month for 6 months while one of these tricks works? It's not going to make any difference to the final sale price.
Right.
So, whereas if you're an elite black hat and you can build a PBN where you can churn up a site that you can sell for $1 million in a year, yeah, fucking do it. You're smarter than me on the black hat side by a long way. So
Yeah.
good question, I think. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's it for this week.
Yeah, I didn't have a don't tweet this week, and you guys never have one.
Mine always come out accidentally, but
Go on then, Vin. No, you haven't got one?
Don't put me on the point, you fucker.
Come on. Accidental don't tweet this. Something, anything.
Don't let your buddies in your office when you go to Vegas, or they'll fill your room with balloons.
That's actually a common problem in the SEO industry because all of our conferences are in Las Vegas. So that's a good don't tweet this.
Cool.
All right, guys.
All right. Yeah, see you next. Yeah, we'll do a show while I'm over in England.
Yeah,
see you next week.
Live from Brighton SEO next week.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sassy Steve will be back for 1 week only every year. Brighton SEO.
Yeah. So 7 p.m. Eastern next Thursday, live on location. Maybe we'll try to find somewhere cool.
Well, I think most likely it'll be 8 p.m. Eastern like last time, because of when the event finishes and stuff. By the time we get back to the hotel, we'll struggle to be. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern next week, probably.
All right. Well, I will see you guys later.
Later, guys.
Later.